For 2 weeks only, get your own Zombie Killer t-shirt. A link is down below.
If you're playing Shi No Numa, you may have stumbled across this poster located near the mystery box. It's a pretty interesting poster. We have some Japanese characters that I cannot read. Below it does say the missing city. That's what I assume those characters mean. And then you have the picture of a city kind of being swallowed up by a bunch of tentacles. You may actually recognize this poster. This very same poster can be found on Shadows of Evil. You can find this near the burlesque, and in addition to that, you can also find written in great big neon lights the words, "The Missing City." What's going on with this poster and the missing city itself? Why does it find itself appearing in both Shi No Numa and Shadows of Evil? And why in Shadows of Evil does it make a point to pop up multiple times? We see it in this poster, and then we also see it appear in the sky. And it's kind of strange, especially when you consider how strange of a place Shadows of Evil is. It's almost like this city that's been ripped apart from time and space and then turned into this perpetual hell for our four characters. What's going on here? To find an answer, what we may want to do is actually look into some of the mythos behind Shadows of Evil and the inspiration. One thing Jason Blundell has said is that they definitely made a point to include a lot of Lovecraftian mythos in Shadows of Evil. I mean, the map is littered with it. You can look at some of the creatures and the enemies that we fight in the map. You can look at all the tentacles everywhere, the giant freaking squid in the sky. The map has a weird tentacle fetish, and part of that comes from all the Lovecraftian lore that is infused into this map. So maybe we can use that to explain the missing city. When you dig into the lore of Lovecraft, one of the things you'll find is the lost city of R'lyeh. This is a sunken city in the South Pacific Ocean, and it's supposedly where Cthulhu and many other gods within the Cthulhu mythos lay dormant until they are woken up and then they rise from the city of R'lyeh. Could this be a reference to the city of R'lyeh? Could this be the lost city? Perhaps. There's also another thought, and this is Atlantis. Now, Atlantis was an ancient city that was sunken by the gods because many of the people who lived in this city started to become morally bankrupt, and this angered the gods, and the gods destroyed the city in one terrible night of fires and earthquakes, and eventually the city sunk into the sea, and this was because of much of the greed that had fallen over the citizens. Well, this is very similar to Shadows of Evil. Shadows of Evil intro opens up with 4 sins that our characters committed. They all committed murder, and for some reason, they all then appear in their city, but away from everything else. The city has been demonized, and now there are zombies everywhere, and they're being punished for their sins by the Shadow Man. The Shadow Man even says he saw each and every one of their misdeeds. So this is also very similar to Atlantis, because Atlantis has always been this missing city, this lost city, this once utopia that we've been searching for ages, but never able to find. Some people, and I don't know if I necessarily agree with this, have gone as far to say that Shadows of Evil is Atlantis. I don't necessarily believe that, but I do think that Shadows of Evil uses Atlantis as an illusion, and it gives a little bit more depth to the maps, which is something that Jason Blundell has said he definitely tries to do in some of the zombie maps. So they create this map as a surface, and then they also try to infuse some more depth into it by looking around at a lot of the local lore, or just lore in human history that maybe could fit in with the map. And that might be what's going on with the missing city, possibly either an extension of the Lovecraftian lore, or sort of the story of human nature and morals and the corruption of a society that Plato tried to tell with the story of Atlantis. Now, why does it show up again in Shi No Numa? This is an interesting question. One may argue that it's because of the greed of, say, Group 935. Group 935 continued to play with Element 115 despite things going wrong. They should have learned from their earlier mistakes and missteps that Element 115 was not to be messed with, and because they got greedy in a pursuit of knowledge or information or whatever you want to call it, all these bad things end up happening. And maybe you could argue that Shi No Numa was one of the starts to it because it was one of the original Group 935 locations, and maybe that's why we have the missing city here. Treyarch is using it as another allusion to greed and the greed of man. That's just an idea, or maybe it's a lot less important. Maybe it's just a way to tie in many of the maps. Maybe within the world of Shadows of Evil, Morgue City, there was a film called The Lost City, or The Missing City, and then this became a movie that became very popular, was eventually translated into Japanese, and that's why you see a poster of it hanging up in Shi No Numa. It could, for all that matters, just be a reference to Shadows of Evil, as well as Morgue City. I mean, it's not the first time we saw the Morgue City bus in Kino der Toten, so I wouldn't put it past Jarek to do something like this. Either way, it's a really cool Easter egg, and it does sort of make you think more about the deeper level to zombies, not just the surface story. What kind of morals and what kind of references are Treyarch trying to put into their story? It's going to wrap things up for this video. Hope you enjoyed it and found it interesting. If you did, please do give a like, possibly subscribe for more. My name is John. Have a wonderful day, and